welcome back to my channel. I know my channel is a bit all over the place right now, but I am obsessed with Gilmore Girls, and that is a fact. And I'm willing to talk about it non-stop on this video. So if you're not a GG fan, see yourself out because it's gonna be entirely full of spoilers and theories and evaluating the characters to see which boyfriend was the best for our Rory Gilmore. Rory Gilmore is titled as the OG millennial because she had a great downfall. She went from Chilton Rory to Yale Rory, and everybody saw the big difference in her from being a study-obsessed humble kid to an entitled trust fund baby just like Logan. Now with that, just note these are my opinions and I'm open to discussion, but don't be offended if I throw a favorite character under the bus. Go grab a cup of coffee or tea and let's chat Gilmore Girls. Okay, so in Rory's lifespan, she had a total of 3 boyfriends: Dean Forrester, Jess Mariano, and Logan Huntsberger. And everyone has their favorite. Apparently, it's okay if you're one side or the other, but today we're going to evaluate all of them. But for that, we have to set a criteria, right? Because I can't be biased in this. So I go to the valuable source of PopSugar because they have a blog on 32 traits of a good boyfriend according to men. So I think it's much more resourceful to go by the criteria that men think makes for a good boyfriend. So each one of them will get a point if they perfectly match this trait, and we'll see at the end who wins. So let's go by it one by one. 32 traits, here we go. Number 1. A good boyfriend respects his girlfriend. I think we all know who tops this list. Logan Huntsberger was a true gentleman to Rory, and he never disrespected her except for the time that he blamed her for being a trust fund baby, even though she was. But he told her that she doesn't pay rent in his house, which was very disrespectful because it kind of implied that she's just living there for free and like he didn't offer it. But that's the only time I can think of he disrespected her. Dean Forrester was also good at this. He was actually particularly good at this because he did come from a middle class, lower class background, and he always respected her because she was going to all these places that he never belonged, and he just saw her as this angel in his life that could take him to different places. And at some point he got tired of that, of course. I think he never actually understood her life, so he would tell her to blow off all her classes and just hang out with him and pester her, and that's kind of like disrespecting their time, I guess, and their boundaries. So Logan gets a point for this. Number 2, he surprises her with flowers. I don't know why this makes a good boyfriend because this is like bare minimum, but Logan bought her lots of gifts. I swear I'm not a Logan stan, like I love Logan, but I'm trying to be as fair as possible. I've seen the show like 7 times at this time, so I'm kind of recalling everyone's character arc and what they did for Rory, and I feel Logan really surprised her with, you know, lots of gifts like the Birkin bag. Yeah, I don't really think anyone bought her flowers on the show, did they? No, I don't think flowers were included in the show, but I'm sure Logan would be the one to shower her with flowers. So another point for Logan. Number 3, he always asks her how her day was. Seeing that Rory lived with Logan, I feel like he would normally ask her how her day was. Obviously, those mundane parts weren't shown in the show. But I also guess when he was in London and she was still in America, when they would call each other, they would ask how their day went. So Logan gets a point for this one as well. Don't freak out. Okay, just because Logan has got the first 3 points, don't freak out. Your favorite character will do as well. I'm really waiting for the other characters to get a point as well, if I'm really honest. Like, I love Logan, but I feel like the other boyfriends were also nice in their own ways. Comment below your favorite boyfriend or your favorite character, which team you guys belong to, because I feel like it's such an interesting topic because everyone views these characters differently even though we saw the same thing. Number 4, he's never jealous. Just a little bit, so she knows he values her. I guess Logan doesn't get a point for this. I'm sorry, because he was jealous of Marty being there. He was always jealous of Marty, I feel like, even though that's how he got introduced to Rory. So he should really be thankful of Marty, I feel like, and not like throwing him under the bus in front of his girlfriend. at that dinner that they had as two couples. Dean was also jealous of Jess, but I think that was valid because Rory was cheating on him with Jess. But other than that, Dean was never jealous of Tristan. He was always just fighting for Rory so he would stop annoying her. So he was really protective and not jealous, I feel like. So Dean gets a point for this one. I'm sorry if you're offended, but I feel like Dean was a really sweet boyfriend, and Lorelai would agree. Number 5, he communicates all the time. So I know what you're thinking. Logan did communicate most of the time, and Jess was pretty bad for it, and Dean over communicated, I feel like. So I guess he gets this point because he would double triple call Rory and annoy her to the point that she was over it and didn't want to talk to him and have Lorelai take messages for her. So I think Dean gets a point for this one, but it's just kind of sad. It's just sad why he's getting this point. Number 6, he's there for her even when it's inconvenient. The scene that this reminds me of is when Rory's grandpa was sick, Richard Gilmore, and Logan flew out and was there, no questions asked, and it was just so sweet that he was just there for her like a great boyfriend. Jess would never. I feel like Jess never was there for her in big moments as well. He was there for her when he had his character arc and he was doing much better in life later in the show, but as a boyfriend, he was never there for her when it was inconvenient for him. If you remember, if he had a shift, he wouldn't even call her to tell her that he won't be able to make it or they won't be able to hang out, and Rory got really upset because Dean would always do that. And Dean would always do that actually, but I think there was not a time when it was inconvenient for him that he was there. So Logan gets a point for this one. Okay, number 7, he lets her see his silliest self. I don't think Dean did that. Okay, so this is a bit hard because I don't know what counts as silly. But let's see. Dean was always comfortable with Rory and he would be his true self, I feel like. Jess wouldn't be silly, but he would be his intellectual self and his true self in front of her. Logan and Rory did have a lot of cute memories with the Life and Death Brigade because he could be himself and she could be her silly self, so I think I'll give this point to Logan. Number 8, he keeps the relationship interesting. Jumping off of planes, going to secret parties, running the Huntsberger Empire. I feel everyone knows the answer to this. Let's just give him that. We'll just wait for the other traits to come up for our characters. Just be patient because there are a whole lot of other traits to go through. Number 9, he knows they're equals. Dean and Jess came from different backgrounds, so I feel like they never thought they were equal and could satisfy the Gilmore Girls. So I feel like Logan would be the closest to an equal. Number 10, he pushes her out of her comfort zone. Now, Logan did push her out of her comfort zone, but that led her to end up without a job, and he did force her out of her comfort zone in the Life and Death Brigade, but I feel like intellectually the one who really pushed Rory was just Mariano, and they would have been such a power couple if they were together. So were Logan and Rory, but I feel like Jess really pushed her out of her comfort zone, especially towards the end when he inspired her to write a story about the Gilmore Girls, which is the show. I know they're not related, but I just feel like it's a great way that they put it in there that Rory writes the story of Gilmore Girls. So, I don't know, I think I'll give a point each to Logan and Jess. Number 11 is definitely a one Logan can't get, is that he's humble. I don't think Logan was humble at all. He admitted that he's a trust fund baby and he's proud of it. He couldn't even let go of a chance to put down Marty because he was a bartender at his parties and whatnot. And I think just his personality was just a bit offstandish, so it wasn't really humble. So I think Dean gets a point for this one for being the most humble sweet boyfriend. Number 12, he watches movies with her, including romantic ones. I think we all know who gets a point for this one. It's our boy Dean, because he would sit down and watch those movies with not only Rory but also Lorelai, and they would have movie nights, and even Lorelai missed that part of their relationship, and definitely he was always there. And I think he really was the Luke in Rory's life, because that's what Luke and Lorelai would do, and I just think that's so sweet. There's parallels running throughout the series between the couples, so don't worry, I'm going to talk about the other parallels as well. Number 13, he keeps the idea of marriage in mind. Towards the end, Logan did propose to Rory, so he did keep marriage in mind, but Rory was just not up to it, and I'm still mad about it because they would have been great. And I think he was the Christopher in Rory's life, because even when Christopher wanted to get married to Lorelai, she didn't want to get married even though she loved him, and kept getting with Christopher all throughout the series, but got married later in life and also divorced him. So it was just complicated, and I think that's what Logan is in Rory's life. And I think the baby that they mentioned towards the end is his, because it's supposed to be a repeat of Lorelai's life. So I think he's definitely the Christopher. So nonetheless, he did keep marriage in mind, so he gets a point for this one. Number 14, he trusts her no matter what. Since Jess and Dean were always at each other's throats and didn't trust Rory, for the right reasons for the most part, I feel like I'll give this point to Logan, because when he was away, he would always check in with Rory and always trust her, even when she was going to parties and whatnot. Number 15, he doesn't try to change her opinions. I feel like Jess did that a lot to Rory. He would try to make her think of ways to look at situations differently, and how if he didn't want to go somewhere, he'd be like, it's not going to be fun, it's going to be lame, why do you want to go there? So he definitely doesn't get a point for this, but I feel the other two boyfriends did value her opinions and didn't try to change them at all. I think Logan did try to change her opinions on some things, especially when she wrote that piece about his party, and she thought it was a great article that she wrote, but he thought it was just her spiting on them, even though she was one of those trust fund babies like he is. So I think even though for the right reasons, Logan did try to change her opinions, and he actually challenged her opinions, which was good for the relationship. But I'll give this point to Deanie Boy, because he never tried to change one bit of Rory. Number 16, he carves out time for her. I think all of the boyfriends are guilty for not doing this, because Dean would miss his shifts, Jess wouldn't miss his shifts for the right reasons, because they were middle class, so they couldn't miss work. And Logan was always busy with his work, which was also fair. But I feel like he would sporadically come to America to see her and surprise her all the time. Like, you know, organizing that dinner on the roof, stargazing that they had, and then when he surprised her in their apartment. So I feel like Logan gets a point for this one, I guess. Number 17, he doesn't worry about being whipped. Dean didn't care about being whipped, as we all know. He was the golden retriever boyfriend, and everyone knew it. And Logan didn't worry about being whipped, because we saw him ditching Colin and Finn on his last night in America, but he would rather spend it with his girl, as he said. So I think I'll give Dean and Logan both a point for this. I know this rating is sounding a bit skewed towards Logan and Dean, but I don't know, I think Jess really didn't do much. He wasn't Rory's boyfriend even for that long, so I think that's why he doesn't fit into a lot of these traits. But let's see, he might catch up. Number 18, he's loyal. So I have mixed opinions about whether Logan was cheating or not, because he did kind of spin the story around to sound like he wasn't, because technically they didn't break up, but he just assumed they did, which could be a good excuse to lie about he thinking that he wasn't cheating when he was sleeping with those bridesmaids. So Logan definitely doesn't get a point for this. Jess was pretty good at it. I think he was pretty loyal. He was pretty straightforward whether he was with Rory or not, whether he was loyal to that other chick in the town. What was her name? Can't remember. But the girl who worked at the cosmetic store, and Jess dated her for a little while and then, got with Rory. And technically, Dean was loyal to Rory, but he wasn't to his wife, which I think matters more. So he wasn't loyal, so I think I'll give Jess this point. Yay, Jess gets 1 point. Number 19, he gives her space when she needs it. So I think every boyfriend was good at this. Dean wasn't good at that, so Dean doesn't get a point for this. Jess was good for this. I feel like he was understood when she needed time. Logan also understood, but he was also kind of inserting himself in a lot of situations. So I think I'll give Jess this point. Just because he can have some momentum in this competition. Number 20, he remembers her birthday. This scene, I definitely know who gets the point for this, because Even when Jess and Rory met after a long time and they were having a fight about why she's with Logan and why she's dropped out of Yale. Why did you drop out of Yale? I'm sorry, I couldn't just not. He still remembered her birthday and wished her happy birthday before he left. Even though he was so mad, he still remembered her birthday even after all that time. He wished her the best and remembered her birthday. So I think he gets a point for this. That scene is classic. I feel like that's the scene every Jess and Rory fan use to justify their relationship and why they love it. Number 21, he tells her she's beautiful. I think Logan was pretty good at that. He was really good at words of affirmation and Rory gave it back. This reminds me of the scene when Rory comes back to their apartment and Logan apologizes for the way he talked about her not paying rent and living there, and they were just in a back and forth conversation about complimenting each other. Number 22, he's careful with his words. Jess wasn't good at that. Logan was good at that, but I guess in fights he kind of lashed out. And I think Dean never hurt Rory with his words, so I'll give him a point for this. Number 23, he tries his best to get along with her friends. And Jess is guilty for not doing this, we all know, because he never made an effort to get along with Lane or any of other Rory's friends. And Dean was pretty good at that. He even went to that stupid Chiltern ball because he wanted to do that for her and even was friendly with all her friends and well, they weren't her friends, but Paris, when Dean and Rory got back together later, when he was married, or actually after he was married, and I think he always made an effort to get along with her family and her friends. Logan did too, but I feel like when Logan and Rory were together, it was more of Logan's friends than it was Rory's friends, so I think that doesn't count. So Dean gets a point for this one. Number 24, he's affectionate. Let's just give Logan this point. We all know. Let's just not debate it. Number 25, he listens to her. Jess didn't listen to Rory. Well, he did, but not in fights. And Dean wasn't good at that either, I guess, so Logan gets a point for this. Number 26, he puts her needs above his. And because Logan was the most privileged, he was able to do this, unfortunately. I think class has a big role to play in this show and really justifies why Logan was able to do all these things and be the way he was. So maybe in another video I can talk about class and the hierarchy of power. And I think a big part of why a lot of people love Gilmore Girls is that it represents the archetype of people that we all know in our lives. So every single character, you know someone like that character in your real life, and that's what the show really is good at, is portraying those types of people in that one character that they include of that archetype and doing it so well. Because we all know a Suki, we all know a Michelle, we all know a Mr. Dozy. Number 27, he helps her grow personally. And I feel like a person who really did that well was Jess, because he really pushed her and they were kind of the same people in terms of their interests. And I think Rory also said this to Paris when Paris was getting ready for her date, is that you're gonna find someone that is into the same things as you, likes the same things as you, and then you'll complement each other. And I think Jess was really good at this, so I'll give a point to Jess. Okay, number 28, he's open-minded. I feel like, again, because of class, Logan could afford to be open-minded, but I feel like because Dean was not of the same class, he was more open-minded to Rory's life and the way it was, and be a part of the experiences. So I think Dean will get a point for this, just to be fair. On the other characters, I won't give a point to Logan for this. Number 29, he treats her like they had just met. And Logan was pretty great at this. He was quite consistent in the way that he treated Rory, and he always surprised her, and he was always happy to see her and always cheeky with her, which was great to see. So he gets a point for this. Number 30, he's her friend as much as her boyfriend. I feel like Logan was definitely a boyfriend. I feel like he wouldn't have been a part of Rory's life if he wanted to be just friends. That's why I think when Rory issued an ultimatum, he just became a boyfriend, and I think that's all he wanted all along. Dean was a good friend to her despite being broken up. Jess was also good at that, but he kind of drifted apart because he wanted to figure out his own life. But in all fairness, I think I have to give Jess this point because he has been lagging. Number 31, he makes her laugh. I think every boyfriend did that, which is a great thing to realize because they were all good with Rory. It was just circumstances that kind of drifted those characters and Rory's apart. So I feel like every boyfriend gets a point for this. And number 32, he loves her wholly. This is such a arbitrary phrase because I don't know who to give it to. Everyone can love. And what does wholly mean? Like in her entirety. Who loves her in her entirety? I think that makes more sense. I think Jess loves her in her entirety and the way she is, and he didn't want to change her. I think that's why he kind of went on his own path as well, because he didn't want to distract her from the life that she was gonna have. So he made himself scarce, and she did go where she wanted, which was good, but she kind of lost herself in the process. But Jess knew her, like really knew her, and that's why I think I'll give Jess this point. So those were the 32 traits of being a good boyfriend according to men. I might be bad at math, but did Dean and Jess get the same points? And I don't know how to feel about this. This kind of reveals a lot about why Logan and Rory are everyone's favorite. So Rory Gilmore's best boyfriend is, drum roll if you remember this reference, is Logan Huntsberger, to no surprise. Jess and Rory are people's favorite, and personally, if someone asked me who is the best boyfriend for Rory, I would say Dean Forrester. He was the good boyfriend from the start, and even Lorelai said so and didn't want them to break up. But I guess if you look at the entirety, how Logan was with her, I really respect that, and I did love them together, but I feel like he did bring a certain sense of brattiness into her life. She wasn't bratty or entitled. He was this billionaire's son, and she was going to be his girlfriend, and you know how the whole family freaked out over the dinner table at the Huntsberger house over that, and she said some things along the lines of, you know, do they know I'm a Gilmore? My ancestors came on the Mayflower. Do they know that? And it was just kind of this brattiness that came with being with such a wealthy boy. I feel like that kind of made me value their relationship a little less. I really did love Rory and Jess's relationship too, because I think they brought out the best in each other, and that's what a relationship should be. But I feel like other aspects of their life didn't match up. It was just not great timing. At some point in their life, it's going to be a right time. I assume when Rory's raising Logan's baby, Jess would be the one to help Rory. And that's it. That's my analysis and my theory based on PopSugar's blog, so don't take it too seriously. It was just for the fun of it, and if you enjoyed it, follow along, and maybe I'll make another video if you want me to. And actually, let me know what kind of video you'd like next on Gilmore Girls, and I'll be here to discuss it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.